Hey guys, happy Saturday morning. We have some new people and I just want to go through everything. I'm a little congested right now, so my voice is a little bit hoarse. But anyway, I want to go through everything just to help the new people out. I don't want to leave anyone behind, guys. In my opinion, remember this whole video is my opinion. I am not a financial advisor. Um, this whole thing is strictly my opinion, should not be used for financial advice, okay? And everything that we share, you need to verify on your own, okay? This is to be used for entertainment purposes only, okay? All right, guys. So what are we waiting on? What have been the holdups? Ultimately, guys, God's in charge, okay? As you guys now see, the coronavirus is happening. There's a lot more to the coronavirus than just a virus, okay? There's a lot of things ultimately because if you look at this past winter, the flu took more lives. The flu took over 12,000 lives. Once the coronavirus to date has only taken a little over 4,000 lives. But when the flu took over 4,000, they didn't overhype it. They didn't let it crash our markets. There's a lot of discrete things that they're not telling you that has to do with that coronavirus. Okay, one example I shared with you is the markets were too high. The Dow was upwards of 30,000 points. Inflation was too high. You know, when the rate does change, it's going to spike the U.S. markets. Okay, the U.S. markets will shoot up and spike up from the rate change. Okay, and that would have caused the markets to go significantly higher than they already were. So in my opinion, they had to use the coronavirus. One thing I feel it was used for was a correction to bring the markets down. So when the rate does change, it can shoot them back up. Okay, so anyway, but ultimately, guys, God's in charge, and then you've got lower level variables such as Trump. The Trump administration's in charge of everything right now. That's, in my opinion, he picked this to happen shortly before the U.S. elections. Okay, that he can use this as a tool to promote himself based on a strong economy for reelection. And then based on when it's going to happen within the year, guys, that's up to Iraq. Okay. Now, Iraq has told us the best time that the central bank prefers for this to happen, guys, is at the beginning of a fiscal year. Okay. They wanted this to happen at the beginning of a fiscal year so that because it's not a small rate change. Remember, like 95% of all the small ones always occurred around the end of April for that over 3 days within April 27th, 28th, and 9th. That's because those dates were picked by the IMF because the IMF's fiscal year starts May 1st, okay, and ends in April. So they did like 95% of the rate changes over the last 30 years that all happened at the end of April. Those were happening at the end of April to benefit the IMF's fiscal year starting at the beginning of May. Okay. But right here, guys, this is an older article from September 6th of 2012. This is where um, the central bank is saying that a large rate change, a big one, can only happen at the end of a fiscal year. Correction, at the beginning of a fiscal year. Now, let's talk about that. What are some of the actions that Iraq has done? Iraq has they did something this year that they've never done in the 11 years I've been in this. They implemented a temporary budget at the beginning of January. Why? Well, that tells you that the primary 2020 budget, which they have not even started the approval, Parliament has not started to even approve it yet because they're waiting on the rate change. With them putting forth a temporary budget in January, they're pretty much telling you that the 2020 budget is not going to even start in January. That's why they needed temporary funds to cover a period of time that the primary budget won't cover. Okay. Plus, I did some deep research, and from my research and studies that I did for you guys, I found that Iraq's former fiscal year used in the 1970s and 80s before they went under the Chapter 7 sanctions. Iraq's former fiscal year was April through the end of March, the following years. Okay, again, April through March on their previous fiscal years. Okay, so based on that, you can see all the variables that we're clearly waiting for the fiscal year. That's in Iraq now. the parliament has not even started the approval process. That goes to show you it's waiting until after the rate change. Um, they have not even started. They have not even. Right now, their elections are kind of in limbo. They're waiting on that. Okay, we'll get into all that. Everything, they had the demonstrations. The demonstrators have demands. They can't even implement the demonstrators' demands. They're waiting on the rate change until they can even implement the demonstrators' demands. So it's very clear what's going on here. Let's look at let's talk about the elections is the big thing right now. The elections or their political procedure. Okay, here's an article, guys. This article is from September of 2019. Okay, this article is telling you right here that the Kurds, okay, are going to have provincial elections in, if we scroll down a little bit, the Kurds are going to have provincial elections in, hold on, let me find it. I know it's April. I've already showed this to you guys right here. I'm going to highlight it for you. It might be a little hard to see. Right there, it says April 1st of 2020. The vote is set to be held on April of 2020 to elect local governments for provincial elections. Now, provincial means, guys, that's like in the U.S. that would be state level elections for individual states, and in this case, it's provinces within Iraq. Now, why is that a big deal? Well, or what does that mean? Well, guys, we have to back up on this. Remember, Kurdistan. Remember, guys, all through from September through the end of 19, all through the fourth quarter of 19. Kurdistan and Baghdad kept having meetings. Part of those meetings had to do with money and the budget. Let's get into that. Let's dissect it. What Kurdistan has never drawn I'm not talking salaries. You guys already know that the Kurdistan area was already paid salaries by Baghdad. I'm talking the operating expenses for the Kurdistan government, for the Kurdistan area, their operating expenses. They have never received a salary from Baghdad for their operating expenses, but they've also never given oil funds to Baghdad either. So now they've already resolved all that, but here's what I need to clarify for you. The fact that that Kurdistan is going to start receiving budget money to cover their operating expenses, what that means is that Kurdistan is going to start now working with, and then they're going to merge and join the main country's national government. That means that Kurdistan will abolish their own parliament. They won't need their parliament. They'll probably keep their president, okay? They'll keep their president, but they won't have a full-blown independent government, okay? Because they're going to merge and join with Baghdad's government. But notice how their elections are set for April 1st, okay? Notice how, if you look at the lies and the games that they keep playing regarding the elections for the whole main country's elections, they can't put a prime minister in. They keep kicking the can down the road. When did this whole procedure start, guys? The election debacle started with the budget debacle. All of the election chaos and the budget chaos happened at the same time, guys. This isn't coincidence. Pretty much, they kind of started around December, but really, guys, it's more about the beginning of the year. Okay, it's really all of these chaotic problems and political wrangling and budget problems and not being able to approve the budget, guys, all really started pretty much around the beginning of the year. This isn't chaos, or it's not coincidence, okay? It's all because everything's waiting on the rate change. But what I'm trying to show you right here regarding Kurdistan's going to join forces and merge with Baghdad, okay, what they have to do, and Kurdistan had their elections set to start April 1st. That's what I showed you guys. That's because that's the beginning of the main country's fiscal year. Iraq already told us regarding the 2020 budget, the last remaining item to get them out of the Chapter 7 sanctions, which allows them to go international and gets them back to their going back to a fiscal period that's best for them, not where they're at now of January through December, but they can go back to the fiscal year they want, which would be April through the end of March of the following year. Okay? That's why they have their election set for Kurdistan had their election set for April. But once the last thing they need to do to get out of the Chapter 7 sanctions to go international, guys, they already told us it's the final payment of money owed to Kuwait by Iraq. They told us that that final payment of money owed to Kuwait, guys, is inside that 2020 budget. Okay, so it's that simple. Once they make that payment to Kuwait, they're out of the Chapter 7 sanctions. They become international. They can transition to a different fiscal period that's best for them in the region. And they're showing you there are based on everything you see. One of the things I've tried to stress to you guys is that all of the news coming out right now, guys, is like 99% of it. The only real truth coming out right now is the banking news. All of the other news talking about the budget, the elections, everything. Even the articles you guys saw just this past week where they talked about reducing the value of the dinar. A ton of you guys sent me that article where it said they might lower the value of the article to like 1250 or something like that. Guys, all of that is lies and BS. Don't believe it. That's what I've tried to stress to you. Okay? But my point is right here. Kurdistan is transitioning back to their fiscal year. That's why the Kurds have their election set for April 1st. Okay? And guys, Kurdistan had this date set clear since last year because, again, this article is from September of 19. So my point to you is, but because Kurdistan is going to now start joining forces and merging with Iraq's national government, they will have to abolish their own parliament. And what that means is that they will partake in the elections with everyone through the entire country. So these are going to now be countrywide elections, but they're going to include Kurdistan. That's why they've gotten rid of the prime minister. They've gotten rid of, that's why the government is in limbo right now. It's just waiting for early elections. That's all this is. They're waiting for early elections to accommodate the Kurds transitioning and joining forces with them. That's all that this is, okay? It's nothing more. So I wanted to show you, that's why the elections are in limbo. The reason the budget has not even started the approval, again, the budget, so now I'm showing you right here, the elections they're waiting on early elections. They have not given you a date. But the Kurdistan side gave you a date. They're telling you right there, April 1st for Kurdistan provincial elections. Obviously, they're not going to have provincial elections now. They're just going to have national countrywide elections. But they did tell you they're going to have early elections. That's because they're joining with the Kurds in this. So they're most likely going to have them sometime in April, would be my best guess. Remember, guys, I already told you I have an Iraqi contact, and I'll explain that to you after the rate changes. I don't need you guys. I can't tell you how I found my Iraqi source, because if I did, you guys would do it, and you guys would ruin this opportunity for me. So I can't tell you this. But with my Iraqi contact, clear back around, I think it was around January or February, I spoke with my Iraqi contact, and I found out that I asked him, I said, hey, the formation or the approval process of the budget takes 2 months. I said, when do you think they'll start it and finish it? And my Iraqi contact said they'll most likely start it in April and finish it in May. Now, you guys know that they've had pending reconstruction agreements with China. Okay? They came out telling you that they most likely would not be starting that Chinese reconstruction agreement until June. Think about this for a second now. That's based on money. And I've already shown you that reconstruction's post-rate change. So what they're showing you right there is that by starting the reconstruction agreements with China in June, that means they have to have the rate change money positioned and the budget approved, okay? So that's April and May, start reconstruction in June. So as you guys see, all the facts are very clearly coming together, okay? That's there's no big deal on that. So let's look. I think I might have another article for you guys. So right here, guys, this is just all the kind of the BS and the nonsense within the news right here. They're telling you the 7 committee settles on 3 candidates for prime minister, and this is today's news, by the way, guys. Here's one: Abdul Mahdi, the most suitable for prime minister. All they're doing, guys, is just pumping BS, blowing hot air right up your skirts. That's all they're doing. This is all lies and nonsense. That's why the news is all over the board. Okay, this one wasn't nonsense. I think this had to do with a Somebody recently attacked the U.S. One of the U.S. bases in Baghdad and in the Taji area, and they suspected it could have been Iran. But again, this has nothing to do with the rate change, so we're not going to focus on this one. That's more military attacks. So yeah, so anyway, guys, all of the news right now, none of the news is truthful. Again, there's only been a little bit of banking news that you guys have seen. It's not truthful. So the banking news, correction, the military, sorry, my mind's all over the board here. Only the banking news is really the only accurate information right now. Okay, so guys, they're not telling you anything truthful, anything accurate that can really help you or benefit you. It's just they're all over the board. Okay, and then as you guys know that that Kim Clement had Kim Clement had kind of given a prophetic word that when Kim Clement gave us a prophetic word, he told us that that in the prophetic word that that the Dow would reach 20,000 points. And
in reference to the Dow Jones, the Dow at 20,000 points. This is November 22nd, 2013. The Dow at 20,000 points. All of this connects to a massive breakthrough with regard to the dinar.
Right here.
In reference to the Dow Jones, the Dow at 20,000 points. This is November 22nd, 2013. The Dow at 20,000 points. All of this connects to a massive breakthrough with regard to the dinar.
I said 20,000. Look not to Wall Street, however, observe. 20,000. I'm hearing 20,000. 20,000. It will reach sooner than most people will think. I didn't know what 20,000 is. All I heard was 20,000. It shall get to 20,000, and some will say, well, it'll take years and years. The Spirit says, no, it won't. It'll be sooner than most people think. It'll be a shock. 20,000.
Now, as you guys know, the Dow hit 20,000 points on Thursday evening, and I showed that to you. So, but I also think there's a good chance the Dow's going to drop and plunge a little bit next week. Also, kind of really locking in more next week around 20,000 points. And guys, regarding the whole coronavirus, so as you guys saw through time, when I first, roughly, I don't know, a month or so ago is when I really started, God put it on my heart to really bring forth the prophecy and share that with you. That was when I got attacked a little bit. I had people saying, oh, I can't believe you're just putting all this stock in prophecy and prophecy's not real and blah, blah, blah. Guys, as you just saw, prophecy's 100% real. Kim Clement prophesied 20K, and I just right now, Thursday evening, I already showed you the Dow already hit 20K on the Dow futures. So there's nobody can argue this. It's 100% accurate as far as if you know how to vet your prophecy. So we have all that coming into play. And what else in this? Guys, we have some newbies, and you know what I would love for you guys to do is if you guys could put forth some quite a few of you guys have actually done profits have done trusts. Okay, so if some of you guys could do some trusts, put some of your share some of your trust sources, their names, maybe put their contact information out for our newbies. Okay, that would greatly appreciate it because you guys would actually be helping them. Okay, and they would greatly appreciate that. So yeah, if any of you guys that did trusts, if any of you guys could put the names of maybe the names and the phone number or a website or something of the groups that did your trust for you, I would greatly appreciate that for the newbies, guys. Now, again, I am not a financial advisor. I'm not a fiduciary, but so you need to verify all this information yourself. With trust, pretty much the way they work in a nutshell is if they're structured correctly, you will donate your dinar or your funds to your trust. They now own your dinar and your money. What you gain from that is if the trust is structured correctly, the trust itself doesn't pay taxes. The trust will have an EIN number. When you exchange your foreign currencies, you will use the EIN number of your trust, not your personal individual social security number. anytime you withdraw money and the money goes to you, okay, that is a taxable event when you withdraw money and the money goes to you. Okay, but the first initial exchange, there's no taxes paid on that if the trust is structured correctly. Okay, so that's how you benefit from that. And then there's other ways too. One of the ways we're not quite able to research it until after the rate has changed, but you can use a corporation. There's some countries that have really good tax benefits. For example, Puerto Rico, which is a U.S. territory. In Puerto Rico, they do not pay federal taxes. They only pay like a state level territory tax of just 4%. Okay, so you might or possibly could create a corporation through like an international corporation attorney within the country of Puerto Rico. And there's a possibility you might only end up having to pay 4% taxes. But again, your corporation would own all of your dinar, not you as the individual. Okay. So those are some of the gains and benefits. Now, I had someone recently ask me about if I know how to deal with bankers. There's different levels on that. Let me help you with that. If anyone goes to exchange their dinar right at a bank, there's a very good chance you're most likely going to just have to pay roughly 1%. From what we're hearing from most banks, roughly 1% in exchange fees off the top. They would so whatever the amount you exchange is, they would probably keep roughly 1% right off the top out of the full amount. Okay, that would be their fee. Okay, one direction I'm going to go, I've already researched this myself in the background, is some of the big banks I know I'm probably going to go through Wells Fargo. They have what's called Wells Fargo PCS. That's Private Client Services. I think the name did recently change. But with PCS, I already talked to my financial advisor over there, and he said he can get me better foreign currency as long as there has to be enough foreign currency involved. Okay. But as long as there's enough foreign currency involved, he can get me a better exchange rate than a traditional bank branch can. So that's one of the routes and directions I'm going to go. When this does happen, what I'm going to do for you guys is I'm going to talk to him, let him know that, hey, we have a large YouTube following, and if you guys, is there any way we can expand this to a larger group? And now you guys wouldn't have to come to. I'm out of Phoenix, Arizona. You guys wouldn't have to come to Arizona. I'm going to see if we can expand this to other states and really just somehow see if they will accommodate us as a group. Okay. And then one of the, and here's why that might benefit them. Let's say if we can get to them where maybe the Wells Fargo PCS can turn around and invest some of our money afterwards, so that's, and do different investments for us. So it's a huge win, a huge gain for them to want to accommodate all of us because it goes deeper than just exchanging the foreign currency. After the foreign currency is exchanged, you come into money, they take your money and they invest it for you. So it's a win-win for them to want to actually accommodate us and work with us. Okay. And then through this whole thing, guys, don't forget, God put it on my heart a few weeks ago to reach out to you guys and talk to you about us joining an investment group. Plus, one of the things I want to share with you is that, guys, I have a feeling I've actually got some prophetic information that one of our amazing followers had shared with me that came from Charlie Shamp and Hank Kuhneman. I'm going to share that with you probably tomorrow on those prophetic words. They're more prophetic words, but one of the things that Charlie Shamp talked about was us benefiting from foreign currency rate changes over the next decade. So my point to this, guys, I think I'm going to keep my YouTube channel up after the rate change. I'm not going to close it down. I think it's beneficial for us all to maybe anybody who wants to work with me. Remember, guys, I'm going to do investments with you, and I've already explained that in great detail. And guys, notice how in the bottom left corner of the screen, I left my contact information there for you guys. Okay, I did that for a reason because I haven't had a chance to reach out to all you guys and exchange contact information with you. So I just wanted to kind of speed this up and help you along. Please don't turn around and blow up my phone though. Just give me a little courtesy, a little grace, and jot it down. Just don't blow up my phone right away. Okay, give me a little patience and grace on that. But guys, I want to, I'm putting this out there so I can stay in communication with you guys. I want you guys to have my those of you guys that want to stay with me long term. And like I said, guys, Charlie Champ said that through the next decade that different foreign currencies are going to be shifting and changing and all that. And I will try to get that out to you guys tomorrow and show that to you. And Hank Kuhneman specifically spoke about the month of March, about being blessed. I don't remember if Hank Kuhneman mentioned foreign currencies, but he talked about us being blessed financially during the month of March. And guys, these are highly accurate prophets. If I didn't know how to vet these prophets, I would not waste my time sharing with you. Okay. So, but again, at the end of this, guys, if you could please share, those of you that have set up trusts, if you could please share like the names, the phone numbers, and the websites of those trust groups that you've gone through, so that some of our newbies can see that information and they can utilize it. That would help them set their stage, kind of their exit stage within this. So ultimately, guys, what I try to share through you with this is what's going on, what's happened, why we've waited. Ultimately, I would say the real reason we've waited is because God's in charge, and there's things happening in the background right now regarding the coronavirus that will benefit us all long term. And there's more to the coronavirus than just a virus. Okay, it goes a lot deeper than that. And then I would say they've probably waited until 2020 on this because that's when it benefits. Trump's in charge. It benefits him the most to have this happening, within roughly 7 to 8 months right before the elections, because he can show everyone how the financial markets just jumped and danced and really significantly increased, because his 2020 campaign theme is a strong economy, and you're going to see that happen. Now, remember, guys, with the coronavirus, they actually are telling us that they're probably going to start having so-called vaccines ready to go roughly in April and start releasing them in April. Well, notice how that's kind of the transition point for Iraq's new fiscal year too. So yesterday, Mr. Rick Stone, Rick, when I picked on you the other day, bud, I was just having fun with you. I wasn't, but yesterday Rick Stone shared some very good information. What he shared in his own opinion was that he felt that the that the coronavirus would start to rebound and kind of correct itself through April, was what he tried to share based on his opinion. And I fully agree with you, Rick. For one, I don't think it'll be 100% rebounded. I think it might go a little bit past April on that, but I think you're definitely going to see the markets and everything start to rebound, and the coronavirus vaccines reducing the amount of the amount of deaths and people getting the amount of sickness lowering and decreasing through April once they start to release the vaccines and all that, guys. Guys, in my opinion, this is not coincidental. It goes a lot deeper than just a virus. Okay. Anyway, we'll most likely start to see everything turn around and rebound for the good, and that includes our economy too, within the month of April. Now, one of the reasons for the newbies I wanted to stress, if you go back to when Kuwait changed their rate around the end of March, Kuwait changed their rate on March 24th of 91. That was a Sunday. The reason why they did that is because Kuwait's fiscal year starts April 1st. So what Kuwait had to do was they had to change the rate around shortly before the beginning of their fiscal year. That way they could walk into the new fiscal year with a new rate in hand. Okay, and that way when they walked into the new fiscal year, they had the rate ready to go, the money ready to go. Because of how significant and how large this rate change is, it has to happen at the beginning of a fiscal year. Okay, that's what I showed you in the factual article. So guys, all the facts show we're right there. All of the faith shows we're right there. Factual proof, faith proof. That's the level at which I study this guys on, is both faith and facts, because I've had people tell me there is no faith on this, and as you guys see, they're completely wrong. There's a huge level of faith in this. God's in charge, and so anyway, tomorrow I'll try to do the video for you guys about Charlie Champ and Hank Kuhneman for you guys, the prophetic, more prophecy specific to the month of March, and specific about foreign currency, us being blessed from foreign currency roughly over the next decade. It's very good prophetic information. You're going to want to hear it. So anyway, guys, that should be everything. There's all my contact information for those of you that have reached out to me and I have not had a chance to get back to you and share mine with you. There it is. You can see it. if you any of those they want to stay with me long term after the rate does change, just stay on stay subscribed to my YouTube channel. Do not unsubscribe, because that's one of the ways I can communicate with you a little faster. Plus, it gives you notification and alerts. Okay, so so there you go. And then again, like I said, I'm going to try to, when the rate does change, I'm going to try to put something together for us through like Wells Fargo PCS to see if I can get it maybe for, instead of them keeping 1% off the top, maybe I can get that lowered to a half a percent, something like